Hey, how's it going, everybody? Today I'm going to be reviewing Thriller by Michael Jackson. The legendary and iconic album, the king of pop music, Thriller, is here. The single best-selling album of the 80s, hands down. Artists like U2, Prince, Madonna, and Bruce Springsteen were the closest to dethroning the king, Thriller. But still, in terms of album sales, the gap was still very significant, and Thriller was just up here. Michael Jackson, commonly referred to as the king of pop, singer-songwriter, dancer, actor, among many other things. If you don't know who Michael Jackson is by this point, then hello, welcome to Earth. Stupid. Michael Jackson started his career as part of the Jackson 5, which was kind of a Motown band consisting of his brothers Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Randy. The band released many beloved classics such as I Want You Back and ABC. From the start, Michael Jackson really stood out like a sore thumb, as he was just on another level with his talented singing and just his electrifying stage charm. It wasn't until 1971 when Michael Jackson would go fully solo and release many albums like Got to Be There in 1972, Ben in the same year, Music and Me in 1973, and Forever Michael in 1975, which, considering how old he was a super impressive thing to do. He was only about 14, 15 when he released his first album, Got to Be There. These albums were really impressive and showed his amazing voice, his youthful charm, as people like to say it. The freak? These songs kind of had the same jazzy R&B and soul influences that were so apparent in the former Jackson 5, which made MJ kind of had a hard time separating himself as a whole separate solo artist. It wasn't until the release of the album Off the Wall in 1979 when MJ developed his fully unique and own style. It was an album that was super modern at the time, super forward-thinking, focuses more on dance music rather than soul. Overall, it was an album that really solidified his distinctive solo career, his own style, with his new sound. Off the Wall was a very important album to not only MJ's career, but also to the world of pop music. But Thriller was really just his big statement. Using an even more modern production style, this new and improved MJ got him over 70 million copies sold worldwide. Thriller cemented Michael Jackson's global superstar status. The popularity of this album was crazy, resulting in a generational impact. So Thriller was a big thing. We all know this. I'm sure I just said a lot of things that was quite obvious. I've just wasted your time there. But let's just dig in track by track. So in total, Thriller has 9 tracks. And we're just going to go from the beginning with the first track being Wanna Be Starting Something, which is a really cozy and sparkly sound experience. Off the bat, you can tell it's a very different sound in comparison to Off the Walls, with a very different production with the newly added synthesizers and the keyboard sections. I also enjoy the use of horns that have been kind of appeared on his past projects, especially Off the Wall. The ending part of the song was just MJ repeating the ad-lib, Mama say, Mama sa, Mama kasa. Really interesting. I don't know what the thought behind that was, but whatever. The song was on the longer side, being over 6 minutes, but I didn't even mind at all. In fact, after the song ended, I was just left wanting more. But yeah, overall super infectious, super electric. Really intriguing song to start. Then moving on to track 2, Baby Be Mine, which is a song that's not usually talked about on this album enough. I love the distant guitar sounds. It's so clean and just pairs so magically with the synth. On the song, Michael Jackson is trying to pour his heart and soul out for a girl, telling her, baby, be mine. Again, the use of horns is present on the song in the background here and there. You can never go wrong with a good horn section. The octave change at the end was a little weird. I don't know what was with that. It just felt a little extra and just didn't need to be there. I did enjoy the chorus, but with so many great choruses on this album, it's definitely far from the best one this album has to offer. But overall, it's a pretty good and really underrated song. Definitely check it out if you haven't. Then we move on to track 3. The Girl Is Mine. There has been a lot of talk about this song being cringe. It's a Paul McCartney collaboration, so I came in with high expectations. Paul and Michael is once again lusting over a girl, saying maybe one too many times, the girl belongs to me, the girl is mine. I can just imagine Michael and Paul kicking their feet up all giggly writing this song. There's one part where Paul and Michael just like fights over a girl. One saying, "She's mine." The other one says, "No, she's mine." Then they just straight up snap out of singing mode entirely and just go into a full-fledged conversation between the two where Michael kind of took Paul's girl and they're fighting for this girl. Regarding the corniness and the possessive love aspects of the song, Michael and Paul did come together to hit some notes, and it definitely could have been much worse. I mean, at least they did have some sort of chemistry. But let's just move on to track number 4, the title track Thriller, which is one that I think everybody knows. It really goes away from the cozy and electric sound from the past 3 tracks. It's just a straight up Halloween banger. It has a really instantly recognizable chorus as well. No, it's Thriller, Thriller night. It manages to appeal to Halloween enjoyers with this dark, enchanting, and descriptive lyrics while also being very charmful meanwhile. Sure, you can say that the lyrics are just overly dramatic and silly, but when I listen to this song, all that comes to mind are the memories from the best Halloweens I've ever had in my life. And at last, I have to mention, Vincent Prince absolutely killed it at the end of this song. The evil of the thriller. Then we move on to track 5, Beat It, which is actually my personal favorite of the big classics on this album, mainly because I am more of an enjoyer of rock music. This track is just straight up an 80s rock song rather than the synthy and poppy cozy experience. Obviously it has a very recognizable guitar riff, really cool, really badass. Lyrically, I think this song also says the realest things, talking about the dangers of the real world, wanting to avoid danger. My favorite part of the song has got to be around 2 minutes and 22 seconds in, where it just sounds so dark, like it really should have been the beat used for Thriller instead. The Eddie Van Halen solo is obviously great, big fan of his stuff. Nowadays, I will say it is a little overglazed, because he has had much better solos, in my opinion, that are kind of not really talked about in popular media. Overall, it's a great song. I would say it's really good for a party, and I mean all of these songs really are good for parties. Then we move on to track 6, Billie Jean. The song really has a legendary status, with over 1.6 billion streams on Spotify at the time of recording. I have a controversial opinion, and that is that Billie Jean is overrated, and here's why. Compared to other classics like Thriller and Beat It and PYT on this album, it feels a little lacking instrumentally, if I'm being honest. It's also just way too overplayed. Like, I've heard this song, like, being for real, I've heard this song at least 100 times the whole way through. And I feel like every time I listen to this song with earbuds, I always feel that the snare and the drums are just way too loud. Like, it really just, I can't even hear the actual song that well. The drums are just so over the top. But nonetheless, I still think it's a very danceable song, obviously. Really iconic. The song pretty much birthed his signature he, as well as the moonwalk. If he hadn't performed this song on Motown 25, the moonwalk would not be as popular as it is today, for sure. The guitar still sounds so clean. As always, Michael's delivery is so well done. It's not a bad song by any means, okay? I'm just saying, overplayed, little overrated. That's about it. Then track number 7 is Human Nature, which is possibly the most comforting song on this album. Everything from the clean, watery, distant guitar to MJ streaming singing. The song is like the musical equivalent to watching the city lights reflected on the water at night. Plus the beat of the song is kind of all over TikTok right now, with like the memes of I graduated in 2019 with like the dinosaur pics. But this song is so beautiful, it's so captivating. I really can't praise this song enough, so we're just gonna move on now. Track 8 is PYT, Pretty Young Thug, I mean Thing. It's a very groovy song. This song perhaps has my favorite pre-chorus and maybe even chorus on this album. Once again, this song displays Michael's vocal talent as he just sings on this track in a way that most people wouldn't. And I'm so glad he did this. The robotic voice saying Pretty Young Thing was so stupid to me. Like, it just sounded so goofy. I don't know why they added that. It's just stupid. Aside from that, this song is very creative and it's a very enjoyable song. Then we move on to track 9, the closer track, The Lady in My Life. This song goes back to kind of the slow lusting over a girl type songs that were found at the beginning of this record. Although this song feels less like a cheesy high school crush, but rather more of like a genuine cry of passion for the love of his life. This song is much more tranquil, taking things much more slowly. The chorus sounds really interesting. It sounds like there is a progression there. It also sounds like MJ is just really authentic and keeping a promise to this girl that he will always be there for her. And the way he's saying, I love you, I need you, I want you, babe. It's just, enough to turn a straight man gay, I am telling you. Jokes aside, this was such a gorgeous way of closing an already gorgeous enough of an album. So that's it for the 9 tracks. It's a little shorter of an album, so a shorter in-depth track-by-track review. But overall, upon listening to this album once, it is pretty much clear to see why it is as popular as it is. It has everything you need from an 80s synth-pop album. It's groovy, dazzling, beautiful, comfortable, has impressive singing, and had a great impact as well. Most of the songs on this album are just fully just timeless, just able to be put on repeat. The middle of this album is just classics after classics. Songs like Billie Jean, of course, Beat It, really stood the test of time. The romance on the songs is kind of hit or miss. Songs like PYT and especially The Lady in My Life are just really super genuine and authentic. While The Girl Is Mine was originally destined to be a heartfelt experience from two, big giants in the industry coming together. But instead, what we really got was just kind of cheap. Other than love, this album also gives us themes of facing fears, challenges, horror, and violence. My favorite track off this album is gonna be between Human Nature, Beat It, and The Lady in My Life, but I will have to personally go with Human Nature. Every time I put this song on, it's like my troubles and worries just magically disappears. My least favorite track here is gotta be The Girl Is Mine. Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson collaboration should not have been this sleazy. It gets pretty repetitive and part of the song is just a straight up conversation. But even for my least favorite track off this record, there are still things that I appreciate about it. And it really does show Michael Jackson trying to take risks with different styles and influences. So overall, Thriller is certainly not an album that just simply relies on its hits, as after listening to the album through and through, you will notice that the lesser celebrated songs contain just as much musical genius as the more popular ones. So overall, I'm feeling an 8.6 on Thriller by Michael Jackson. So that is it for this review. Tell me what you think about this album. Did I rate it high enough? Did I rate it low enough? Tell me what else you want me to do next, what you want me to review next. You know the drill. Subscribe, you know what I'm saying. And that's all I got for this video. It's more of a shorter one. But I'm going to see you next time, guys.